This is a warning. Before Lake Lanier existed, this was home. People lived here. Families ate dinner together in houses that still stand. Children played in these very streets. And when the water came, not everything left. Some say the lake never forgot. In the early 1950s, the United States government made a fateful decision. They greenlit the construction of Buford Dam, a project meant to control flooding along the Chattahoochee River and supply water and power to a growing Georgia. But progress has a price. To create this massive reservoir, entire communities had to be sacrificed. Churches where they prayed, and even the cemeteries where their ancestors rested, were all slated to be swallowed by the rising tide. Imagine receiving that notice. Your home, your history, your entire world was about to be submerged. Families were forced to pack up their lives and move, leaving behind everything they couldn't carry. But it was a monumental task. Records from the time are incomplete, and local lore insists that not all of them were moved. Some family plots, some forgotten headstones, were simply abandoned as the waters began to rise. Street signs that once guided travelers now stand in perpetual darkness. And from the very beginning, locals whispered that disturbing those hallowed watery grounds would bring dire consequences. The lake officially opened to the public in 1956, and it didn't take long for the accidents to begin. Almost immediately, reports started trickling in. Boaters would be cruising along on a clear day and suddenly collide with unseen objects, tearing holes in their hulls. Swimmers would venture into calm, placid water and mysteriously drown. Fishing boats would capsize for no apparent reason, with no storms on the horizon. Some swimmers who were pulled from the water, gasping and terrified, swore they were suddenly and violently pulled downward by an unseen force. Others claimed they felt distinct, cold hands grabbing at their legs, trying to drag them into the abyss. These weren't just accidents, they felt like attacks. The stories spread like wildfire through the local communities. What was once seen as a marvel of engineering was quickly gaining a sinister reputation. People started to wonder if the official explanations were the whole truth, or if something far more ancient and angry was at play beneath the waves. For the recovery divers who have to brave its depths, Lake Lanier is one of the most dangerous and unnerving lakes in the country. The moment you descend, the world changes. Visibility can drop to absolute zero within just a few feet. You're swimming blind in a thick, murky soup. The water temperature plummets, becoming cold and disorienting, messing with your senses and your gear. Divers are literally descending into a drowned ghost town. They navigate through a lightless world where houses still stand on their foundations, eerie and silent. They see staircases that lead to nowhere, just ascending into the black water. They pass by rusted-out cars and trucks, resting in a silence they were never meant for. Fishing lines from unfortunate anglers get tangled around drowned street lamps. Like spectral spiderwebs, divers have described the surreal and deeply unsettling experience of swimming through the rooms of these submerged homes. They glide past fireplaces that will never again hold a fire, and through kitchens where furniture still sits, coated in a century of silt and algae. Some divers have confessed that entering these underwater homes feels profoundly wrong, a deep violation. It's a feeling of trespassing, of intruding somewhere you were never meant to be. They say you can feel the history, the memory of the lives that were lived there. It's as if the homes themselves, and whatever spirits remain, are watching them, resentful of the intrusion into their watery graves. The experience leaves a permanent mark on those who have seen the drowned world firsthand. One of the most chilling stories comes from the 1980s. A group of teenagers decided to go for a late-night swim near a dock, enjoying the warm summer air. The mood was light, full of laughter and splashing, until one of the boys suddenly let out a blood-curdling scream and vanished beneath the surface. For a heart-stopping moment, there was only silence and dark water. His friends, panicking, dove in after him, frantically searching in the murky depths. They managed to find him and drag him back to the dock. He was coughing up water, shaking uncontrollably, his eyes wide with terror. He wasn't just scared of drowning, he was hysterical. At first, his friends tried to laugh it off, blaming it on a snagged root or a panic attack. But the laughter died in their throats when they looked at his leg. Dark, angry bruises were already starting to form around his ankle. The sight sent a shock of pure fear through the group. They scrambled out of the water, grabbed their things, and fled from the lake as fast as they could. The story became a local legend, a terrifying piece of evidence that the whispers about Lake Lanier were true. Over the decades, the fear took root and grew. Local fishermen, who know the waters better than anyone, tell stories of strange, glowing lights moving beneath the surface in the dead of night. They speak of their paddles or fishing lines hitting solid, unseen objects where there should be only open water. Swimmers continue to report feeling bizarre cold currents in otherwise warm patches of water, as if they've passed through an invisible, icy presence. They say the drowned town, and the spirits of those left behind, resents the disturbance. It resents the boats churning the water above its rooftops, and the swimmers kicking above its forgotten streets. And so, Lake Lanier, slowly but surely earned its darker name. It's known as a place where accidents happen far too often to be a coincidence. A beautiful, inviting lake where some who enter simply don't come back. Subscribe to Tales of the Dark, where every story is designed to give you a new nightmare. Have you ever heard a story that sends a chill down your spine? One that makes you question what's real and what's not? Tonight, we re-diving deep into a tale that blurs the line between a tragic accident and a haunting legend. It's a story of two women who vanished without a trace, a secret kept by a dark lake for nearly 60 years, and the strange, unsettling events that continue to this day. This is a story that begins with a warning and ends with an even darker one. It was 1958, a cool night, full of promise. Susie Roberts and Delia Parker were two young women enjoying a night out at a local dance hall. Like so many others their age, they were full of life, with dreams and futures ahead of them. When the music stopped and the hall emptied, they got into their car and drove off into the darkness, heading home. They were last seen driving near Lake Lanier, a vast, man-made reservoir known for its beautiful, but often eerie waters. But they never made it home. That night, two families began a wait that would stretch into decades. Panic set in when the sun rose, and there was no word. Search parties were organized. Volunteers and police combed the woods, the roads, and the shoreline around the lake. But they found nothing. It was as if the car, and the two women inside, had simply vanished from the face of the earth. the case went cold. Files were shelved, memories grew distant, and the story of the two missing women became a piece of local folklore, a ghost story whispered among residents. The lake, vast and silent, held its secrets close, its dark waters concealing a truth no one could have imagined. For over half a century, the mystery of Susie and Delia remained unsolved, a permanent question mark hanging over the community. Then, in 2013, everything changed. Nearly 60 years after that fateful night, a diver was exploring the depths of Lake Lanier. This wasn't an official search. It was just a routine dive in a familiar spot. But what he found was anything but routine. Deep beneath the surface, shrouded in silt and darkness, was the unmistakable silhouette of a vehicle. It was an old car, a relic from a bygone era. Recovery teams were called in. The process was slow and delicate. As they carefully raised the rusted metal shell from its watery grave, the pieces of the puzzle started to fall into place. The car was a 1956 Ford, the exact make and model, driven by Susie and Delia, and inside, they made a grim discovery: human remains. After all those years, the waiting was finally over. Dental records confirmed the identities. It was them. The investigation concluded that on that night, in 1958, their car must have gone off a bridge that spanned a section of the lake. There were no guardrails back then. In the pitch black of a country night, a single mistake, a moment of distraction, would have been fatal. They plunged into the cold, dark water, and the lake swallowed them whole. No one saw it, no one heard it. The car sank to the bottom, and the secret was kept, hidden from the world for generations, until that chance discovery brought the tragic story to a close. Or did it? For many locals, finding the car didn't end the story. It only added a new, disturbing chapter. The area around Lake Lanier, especially the roads that hug its winding shoreline, has a reputation, a dark one. People who live nearby will tell you that accidents happen there far too often, particularly near the bridges and curves that overlook the water. It's more than just bad luck. They say there's something strange about those roads. Emergency responders who have worked the area for years have noticed the patterns too. A disproportionate number of single-vehicle accidents occur late at night, often when a heavy mist rolls in from the lake, blanketing the roads in a thick, disorienting fog. The official reports might blame driver fatigue or poor visibility, but the sheer frequency of these incidents makes some first responders shake their heads. They've seen too much to dismiss the strange feeling that hangs in the air on those nights. Truck drivers, the seasoned veterans of the night roads, have their own tales to tell. They speak of the fog near the lake, how it can appear out of nowhere, reducing visibility to zero in an instant. They describe the unsettling feeling of their headlights reflecting off nothing, creating a wall of white that seems to press in on the cab. Some have reported seeing fleeting shadows dart across the road in front of them, even when there are no trees or animals nearby. These aren't just one-off stories. The experiences are so common that a kind of unofficial rule has developed among some long-haul truckers. They refuse to take the routes that run alongside Lake Lanier after midnight. It's not worth the risk. They say the roads feel wrong, that there's a presence there. Too many strange encounters, too many unexplained crashes, too many moments that defy logical explanation. They'll take the long way around, adding hours to their trip, just to avoid that stretch of pavement after dark. So, what is really going on at Lake Lanier? The official explanation remains simple and logical: fatigue, speed, and poor visibility on dark, winding roads. It's a plausible theory, and for most accidents, it's likely the correct one. But the local whispers suggest something darker. something that can't be explained away by a police report. Some believe the spirits of those who died in the lake, not just Susie and Delia, but many others over the years, have never truly left. They believe these lost souls are drawn to the living, to the headlights of cars passing in the night. The theories vary. Some say the spirits are simply lost, replaying their final moments over and over. And a few whisper a more sinister idea, that some spirits are lonely and try to pull others into the water with them. And for travelers passing by Lake Lanier after dark, when the fog rolls in and the water is still, it's hard not to wonder if you're really alone on that road. The official story is closed, but the legend lives on, a chilling tale whispered on the wind. There's a place where the water is so dark, so deep, that some who go down refuse to ever go back. A place where an entire world lies submerged, frozen in time. Tonight, we're diving into the chilling depths of Lake Lanier. Imagine this. You descend into the cold, murky water. As your light cuts through the darkness, you're not just in a lake, you're in a neighborhood. Entire towns were flooded to create this massive reservoir. Down here, skeletal trees reach up from the lake floor, like ghostly fingers. Old cars and trucks sit abandoned, covered in silt, their headlights staring blankly into the eternal night. You swim past homes, their structures surprisingly intact. Doors hang open, windows gaze out into the abyss. Divers have described a profoundly unsettling feeling, the sensation of gliding past an open window, peering into a dark room, and seeing furniture still in place, as if waiting for a family that will never return. Sometimes, they say, things move. A curtain might drift in a current that isn't there, or a door might creak on its hinges, as if something inside has just shifted. Lights that flicker and die for no reason, plunging them into total blindness. Communication systems that crackle with static or cut out completely, severing their only link to the surface. Compasses that spin wildly, disorienting them in the void. For some, these experiences are too much. They'll complete a recovery, surface, and quit the job forever, unwilling to face whatever it is they felt down there in the cold and the quiet. They'll say they found what they were looking for, but they also found something else, a sense of dread so profound, they refuse to ever go back. He felt an overwhelming presence right beside him, something moving in the darkness with him. He immediately aborted the dive, signaling to be pulled up. When he broke the surface, the boat crew said he was pale and shaking uncontrollably. He ripped his mask off, gasping for air, and refused to say what happened at first. Later, he told his partner he would never dive in that lake again. He quit that day and never took another recovery assignment. Whatever moved beside him in the void, he had no interest in meeting it again. The strange phenomena aren't just limited to those who go beneath the waves. Even those on the surface have stories to tell. Boaters, especially those out on the lake after dark, have reported some truly bizarre and frightening encounters. Picture yourself on a boat in the middle of the lake at night. The moon is hidden by clouds, and the water is a black mirror, reflecting nothing. Suddenly, you hear a knock, a loud, sharp rap, coming from directly beneath the hull of your boat. You kill the engine and listen. Silence. You start to think you imagined it, but then it comes again. Thump, thump, thump. It sounds like someone is underwater, knocking on the bottom of your boat, trying to get your attention. Then there are the engine failures. It's an unnervingly common story. A boat will be cruising along just fine, and then suddenly, the engine sputters and dies, for no apparent reason. All electronics go dead. You're left drifting in the silent darkness, miles from shore. Mechanics can often find no explanation for the sudden failure. It's as if something in the water itself interfered with the boat's systems. Perhaps most disturbing are the sightings. People claim to see figures in the water, just below the surface. They'll be looking over the side of their boat and catch a glimpse of a pale shape, vaguely human, keeping pace with them. It follows them for a few moments. A ghostly form gliding effortlessly through the dark water before it sinks back down into the depths and vanishes. Are they seeing logs, shadows, or are they seeing the spirits of those the lake has claimed, forever bound to its waters? So, what is really going on in Lake Lanier? Skeptics will tell you it's all perfectly explainable. The knocks are just debris hitting the hull. The engine failures are simple mechanical issues. The shapes in the water and the feelings divers experience are just the products of an overactive imagination, fueled by the lake's dark reputation and the natural human fear of the unknown. And maybe they're right. Perhaps the darkness below is just darkness, and the silence is just silence. But the stories persist. Too many experienced divers, police officers, and sober-minded boaters have reported the same things, independently of one another. The feeling of being watched, the unexplained malfunctions, the shapes in the dark, the touch in the void. It's why so many divers, after just one descent into certain parts of that lake, will tell you, never again. They won't explain why. They just shake their heads and refuse to go back, because they know that some secrets are meant to stay underwater, and some places are better left undisturbed. If you enjoy exploring the shadows where terrifying tales lurk, be sure to subscribe to Tales of the Dark, where every story is designed to give you a brand new nightmare. Warning: some lakes don't just claim lives, they seem to choose them. Lake Lanier holds a chilling reputation among locals, not just for the number of accidents, but for disappearances that feel sudden, silent, and impossible to fight against. Survivors repeatedly described the same thing. No struggle, no warning, just someone suddenly gone beneath calm water. Imagine this. Families are out enjoying a perfect summer afternoon. Kids are splashing. Music is playing. Then, a loved one vanishes, literally within seconds, as if pulled straight down. No splashing, no cries for help. Just empty water where a person stood only moments before. This isn't a rare occurrence. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, emergency responders documented numerous cases where swimmers disappeared in areas considered shallow or perfectly safe. Witnesses often say the victims looked confused just before going under, as if they lost their footing on something that wasn't there. Some tried grabbing onto their friends, but were pulled away by an unseen force or a sudden drop-off hidden just beneath their feet. What lies beneath the surface? Search divers later discovered the terrifying truth. Beneath these seemingly safe, tranquil areas lie submerged trees, sudden ravines, collapsed structures, and the remnants of old, forgotten roads from the towns that were flooded to create the lake. But even experienced divers admit that some recovery locations make absolutely no sense. Victims are sometimes found far from where they entered the water, occasionally in directions that defy the expected water currents. The lake seems to have its own rules, its own way of moving things. There's one local account that everyone seems to know. It involves a group of college students celebrating near a popular swimming cove. One of the students swam just a short distance away from the group, then suddenly yelled out, as if startled, before disappearing completely beneath the surface. His friends dove after him instantly but reported the water was so murky and thick they could uneven see their own hands in front of their faces. When recovery teams finally arrived hours later, they found his body almost 50 yards away, tangled in submerged debris. The divers later admitted their confusion, stating that the water movement in that specific area shouldn't have been able to carry him there so quickly. And the stories don't stop when the sun goes down. In fact, that's when they get even stranger. Night fishermen have their own unsettling tales to tell. Some describe seeing human-shaped silhouettes standing waist-deep in the shallow water. Late at night, when no one else is around, these figures appear completely motionless, just watching silently from the dark water. But whenever someone tries to approach them, they simply vanish. No splashes. No footsteps running away, just empty water. One fisherman claimed he was so unnerved that he shone a powerful spotlight toward what looked like a person just standing in the lake. As his boat got closer, the figure slowly, unnaturally, sank backward beneath the surface without making a single sound. Terrified, he sped his boat away and has since refused to ever return to the lake after dark. The very people tasked with saving lives and recovering the lost also have their own confessions. Local rescue divers privately admit that certain zones of the lake feel deeply unsettling. They describe sudden, inexplicable drops in water temperature, strange currents that push them in unexpected directions, and eerie moments where their equipment feels like it's being tugged on by an unseen hand. While most are quick to acknowledge there are likely natural explanations for these phenomena, many privately confess that the lake just feels different in certain places. It feels heavy, quiet, almost watchful, as if the water itself is aware of their presence. The families who have lost loved ones often return to the lake year after year to leave flowers near the docks or shorelines where they last saw them. Some of these grieving families report hearing splashes nearby, even when the water is perfectly calm and there's no one around. Others claim they feel a sudden, intense coldness wrap around their legs while they stand near the shore, even in the blistering heat of a Georgia summer. Whether it's just imagination, the profound weight of grief, or something far darker. These stories continue to spread, adding to the lake's ominous legend. Because of this long and tragic history, many longtime residents have unwritten rules. They refuse to swim in certain areas, especially after sunset. Parents drill into their children's heads to never wander into the deeper waters alone. Boat renters are repeatedly cautioned about the underwater hazards and the sudden, treacherous depth changes that can catch even experienced boaters off guard. But warnings don't always prevent tragedy. Officially, authorities maintain that most of these incidents are the result of hidden debris, those sudden drop-offs, alcohol use, or simply a lack of swimming ability. And yet, the sheer, staggering number of unexplained or incredibly rapid disappearances continues to fuel the rumors. Rumors that something beneath the murky waters of Lake Lanier is possessive, and that it refuses to let everyone who enters it leave. Today, the locals often say the lake doesn't need storms or obvious danger to claim someone. Sometimes, all it needs is silence. Subscribe to Tales of the Dark, where every story gives you a nightmare. Year after year, the headlines tell the same tragic story: drownings, boating accidents, mysterious disappearances. Despite safety campaigns and increased patrols, the number of incidents never seems to go down. It's gotten to the point where many longtime residents won't go anywhere near the water after dark. They know the lake has two faces, and its nighttime face is not a friendly one. Imagine you're a dock owner, closing up for the night. All the visitors have gone home, the parking lot is empty, yet you hear it. Footsteps on the wooden planks of your empty dock, or you're out on your porch overlooking the water, and you hear faint whispers carried on the wind, but there isn't a single boat in sight. These are the stories you hear from people who live there. They'll tell you about strange, faint lights moving slowly beneath the surface, deep in the water, before vanishing without a trace. Skeptics say it's just reflections or distant boat lights, but the people who've seen them swear they come from deep within the lake itself. One story that gets told again and again is from a survivor who was left permanently traumatized. He was swimming with friends late one night, not far from a dock. Everything was fine, just a late-night dip. Suddenly, he felt an intense, crushing pressure wrap around his ankle. It felt like a hand, strong and cold, gripping him tight. Panic shot through him as he was pulled downward, away from the surface, away from the air. They found him, grabbed his arms, and fought to pull him back up. He broke the surface, screaming, gasping for air, absolutely convinced that something in the water had tried to drown him. When he got out, there were dark red bruises forming a ring around his leg. Was it a piece of hidden debris? A submerged tree branch? Or was it something else? He never went swimming in the lake again. And it's not just swimmers. Even the security patrols have their own strange tales. They report hearing huge, unexplained splashes in restricted areas where they know no one is supposed to be. Night fishermen have felt their boats suddenly rocked by large waves, even on perfectly calm nights, with no other boats around to cause a wake. Some have even reported hearing distinct knocking sounds from underneath their hulls, as if something is striking the boat from below. Most try to explain it away as floating logs or large fish, but the feeling of deep unease never really leaves them. So where does this dark reputation come from? To understand that, you have to look at what's beneath the water. Lake Lanier isn't a natural lake. It was man-made in the 1950s by flooding a massive valley, and in that valley, there were towns. Entire communities were submerged. Homes, farms, businesses, and even cemeteries were swallowed by the rising water. The government relocated over 250 families and moved 20 cemeteries, but many grave sites were left behind. The town of Oscarville, a predominantly black community, was completely erased from the map. Old-timers in the area still pass down stories about the places that were lost. They believe that disturbing those final resting places has consequences. to their simple, stark advice. Enjoy Lake Lanier during the day. Have fun, make memories, enjoy the sun. But get out before dark, because some places hold on to their memories. Some places don't like visitors after the sun goes down. And Lake Lanier still remembers the towns and the people sleeping beneath its waves. Thanks for watching Tales of the Dark. We hope you enjoyed the story. If you want more nightmares, be sure to subscribe to